The Cob and the Anthem by O.Henry. Soapy moved restlessly on his seat in Madison Square. There are certain signs to show that winter is coming. Birds begin to fly south. When you see these signs, you know that winter is near. A dead leaf fell at Soapy's feet. That was a special sign for him that winter was coming. It was time for all who lived in Madison Square to prepare. Soapy made his small plans for going to the island. He wasn't thinking of southern skies or of the Bay of Naples. 3 months in the prison of Blackwell's Island was that he wanted. The prison had rules that he would have to follow, but in prison a gentleman's own life was still his own life. Soapy, having decided to go to the island, at once began to move toward his desire. The most pleasant way was to go and have a good dinner at some fine restaurant. There he would say that he had no money to pay, and then a cop would be called. It would all be done very quietly. The cop would arrest him, he would be taken to a judge, the judge would do the rest. He began thinking of what he would like to eat. In his mind, he could see the whole dinner. The cost wouldn't be too high, but the dinner would leave him filled and happy for the journey to his winter home. But as Soapy put his foot inside the restaurant door, the head waiter saw his broken old shoes and the torn clothes that covered his legs. Strong and ready hands turned Soapy around and moved him quietly and quickly outside again. Then he came to another cop standing in front of a big theater. He thought of something else to try. He began to shout as if he had had too much to drink. His voice was as loud as he could make it. He danced, he cried out. And the cop turned his back to Soapy and said to a man standing near him, "It's one of those college boys. He won't hurt anything. We had orders to let them shout." He was still free. Was he going to remain free forever? A nice-looking young woman was standing before a shop window, looking at the objects inside. Very near stood a large cop. Soapy's plan was to speak to the young woman. She seemed to be a very nice young lady who wouldn't want a strange man to speak together. She would ask the cop for help. He went near her. "Good evening, Bedelia. Don't you want to come and play with me?" The cop was still looking. The young woman turned to him. Putting out her hand, she took his arm. "Sure, Mike," she said joyfully. "If you will buy me something to drink, I would have spoken to you sooner," but the cop was rushing. Then he saw a man in the shop buying a newspaper. The man's umbrella stood beside the door. Soapy stepped inside the shop, took the umbrella, and walked slowly away. The man followed him quickly. "My umbrella," he said. "Oh, is it?" said Soapy. "Why don't you call a cop? I took it." "I," said the umbrella man. "That is, you know how this thing happened? If that's your umbrella, I'm very sorry. I found it this morning in a restaurant. If you say it's yours, I hope you will." "It's mine?" cried Soapy with anger in his voice. The umbrella man hurried away. Prison seemed only a happy dream. He was going home, although home was only a seat in a park, but on a very quiet corner Soapy stopped. Here was an old church. Through one colored glass window came a soft light. Sweet music came to Soapy's ears and seemed to hold him there. And the anthem that came from the church held Soapy there, for he had known it well long ago. In those days, his life contained such things as mothers and flowers, and high hopes and friends, and clean thoughts and clean clothes. He saw his worthless days, his wrong desires, his dead hopes, the lost power of his mind, and also in a moment his heart answered this change in his soul. He would find to change his life. He would pull himself up out of the mud. He would make a man of himself again. He was young enough. He would find his old purpose in life and follow it. That sweet music had changed him. Tomorrow he would find work. A man had once offered him a job. He would find that man tomorrow. He would be somebody in the world. Soapy felt a hand on his arm. He looked quickly around into the bird face of a cop. "What are you doing hanging around there?" asked the cop. "Nothing," said Soapy. "You think I believe that?" said the cop. Full of his new strengths, Soapy began to argue, and it's not wise to argue with the New York cop. "Come along," said the cop. 3 months on the island, said the judge to Soapy the next morning.